There is no such thing as coincidence. If you are hearing this message today, understand that it is not by chance. You did not stumble upon these words by accident. Something deep within you has been crying out for an answer, for confirmation, for the sign that your soul has been longing for. And here it is. The waiting is over. Everything you have prayed for, everything you have labored for in silence, everything that seemed so far out of reach, God has already set it in motion. It is no longer a matter of if, no longer a question of when. The answer is here. You are a chosen one. From the moment you drew your first breath, your life was marked by divine intention. You have felt it, haven't you? That sense that you were different, that there was something about you that set you apart from the rest. Even in your earliest years, you could tell. You did not quite fit into the mold that others seemed to embrace so easily. While they went along with the current, you were always swimming against it. And for that, you have paid a price. The world does not celebrate the chosen ones. It does not roll out the red carpet for them. It does not make the journey easy. Instead, it resists them, tests them, crushes them under the weight of trials that others never seem to bear. You have lived through that resistance. You have endured it in ways most people will never understand. But here is what you must know. Your suffering was never wasted. Every rejection, every betrayal, every sleepless night, wondering if you would ever see the breakthrough you so desperately needed, none of it was in vain. The struggles you faced were not signs of abandonment. They were signs of preparation. God was not ignoring your prayers. He was answering them in a way that only those with true spiritual sight can comprehend. And now, at long last, your season of waiting is coming to an end. What you have been waiting for is here. And it is not just what you asked for. It is more. More than you could have imagined, more than you thought possible, more than you dared to believe. Your life is about to change in ways that will leave those who doubted you in awe. The tables are turning. The favor you carried in secret is about to be revealed in the open. The years of hidden struggle are about to give way to an abundance that cannot be explained by human reasoning. This is your moment. Now, listen closely, because every word that follows in this message will give you the understanding you need to step into the fulfillment of what has already been set in motion for you. From the moment you entered this world, you were different. Even before you could speak, before you could walk, the weight of your calling was already upon you. You may not have understood it then, but deep within your spirit, you knew. You were never meant to live an ordinary life, and the world knew it too. The forces around you sensed something in you that others did not. There was a light in you that could not be ignored, a presence that could not be dismissed. And because of that, resistance found you early. While others seemed to glide through life with ease, your path was lined with obstacles. Where they found acceptance, you encountered rejection. Where they were embraced, you were met with suspicion. People could not explain it, but something about you made them uneasy. They could not quite put it into words, yet they treated you as an outsider, a misfit, someone who just did not belong. And in their misunderstanding, they tried to diminish you. But here is the truth. What they saw as strangeness was divinely ordained distinction. You were never meant to blend in. You were never meant to follow the crowd. You were chosen, set apart, marked by the hand of God for a purpose greater than this world could comprehend. Think of Joseph, the young dreamer, gifted with visions of greatness. From birth, he carried something special. But instead of being celebrated, he was despised. His own brothers, the very people who should have loved and protected him, were the first to betray him. They resented the favor upon his life, and in their jealousy, they sought to destroy him. Does that sound familiar? Some of the very people you trusted, the ones who should have lifted you up, were the same ones who tried to pull you down. They dismissed your dreams, belittled your ambitions, and doubted your worth. Not because you were lacking, but because your potential terrified them. The world has always feared those who carry the mark of greatness. It tries to suppress them, silence them, bury them under trials meant to break their spirit. But what they failed to understand is that the very thing meant to destroy you has only strengthened you. What they saw as rejection was actually divine protection. God did not allow you to fit in because you were never meant to follow the patterns of this world. He did not allow you to be accepted in places that would have limited your growth. He set you apart because the mission placed inside of you requires a level of endurance, wisdom, and resilience that cannot be developed in comfort. And now, that endurance is about to pay off. The years of feeling unseen, overlooked, underestimated, those years are over. The mark you carried in secret is about to be revealed for all to see. What was hidden is about to be made known, and those who once dismissed you will have no choice but to witness the power of God's favor upon your life, because you were marked from birth. From the very beginning, the system was never designed for you to win. It was built to keep you small, to keep you doubting, to keep you exhausted from fighting battles you never should have had to fight. It was never about fairness. It was about control. The moment you began to think for yourself, the moment you refused to conform, the system recognized you as a threat. Because you see, the world does not fear those who follow blindly. It does not resist those who stay silent, who blend in, who never challenge the status quo. No, the world fears the ones who wake up, the ones who begin to see past the illusion, the ones who refuse to be controlled. And you, chosen one, have been awake since birth. They tried to box you in. The moment you began to show your potential, they labeled you. They told you what you could and could not do. They tried to shape your mind with doubt, planting seeds of insecurity, convincing you that you were too much, too different, too unrealistic. They wanted you to believe that your gifts were a burden, that your vision was foolish, that your calling was impossible. But here is the truth. The resistance you faced was proof of your power. Why do you think they never made it easy for you? Why do you think the doors that swung open for others were locked when you arrived? It was never about your ability. It was never about your worth. It was about suppression. The system saw what you carried, and it did everything it could to convince you that you were nothing. Think about it. They push mediocrity and reward conformity. But when someone like you comes along, someone who refuses to bow, someone who cannot be silenced, the system panics. They send obstacles your way. They place people in your path who will discourage you, betray you, break you down. They create distractions designed to drain your energy, to keep you from walking in your true purpose. And yet, despite it all, you are still here. They threw everything at you, but you did not crumble. You did not surrender. And that, chosen one, is why you are dangerous. The system was always against you because it recognized something in you that you did not even fully understand yet. And now, here you are, standing on the edge of something greater than you ever imagined. The battles you have fought, the trials you have endured, they were not for nothing. Every struggle has been building you for this moment. And now, the very system that tried to break you will have no choice but to witness your rise. Because you were never meant to be controlled. You were meant to overcome. Pain has a way of making you question everything. It makes you wonder if God has forgotten you, if the suffering was ever necessary, if the weight you carried was just a cruel twist of fate. But hear me now, your pain was never wasted. It was never random. It was never meaningless. Every tear you cried in secret, every betrayal that cut deep, every season of loneliness, it all had a purpose. You see, the chosen ones are not built in ease. They are forged in fire. Look back on your life. The hardships did not start yesterday. They have followed you from an early age, haven't they? Before you even had the words to describe it, you felt it. This unshakable sense that life was harder for you than for others. The struggles were relentless. The battles never seemed to stop. Every time you thought you had a moment to breathe, another storm came crashing in. But what if I told you that was by design? God does not waste suffering. He does not allow his chosen ones to endure hardship without reason. Every ounce of pain you have carried was shaping you, molding you, strengthening you in ways you could not yet see. Because what you have been called to do, the level of influence you are stepping into, requires a depth of wisdom and resilience that can only be gained through trials. Look at the greats, the ones who have changed the course of history, the ones who have left a lasting impact. None of them were born in comfort. Every single one of them carried scars. They walked through darkness. They suffered, not because they were forsaken, but because they were being prepared. And so were you. You learned how to stand when everything around you was falling apart. You learned how to rely on faith when there was nothing else left to hold on to. You learned how to keep going when every voice around you told you to give up. And now, the season of pain is giving way to the season of reward. The scars that once reminded you of suffering will now be the testimony of your victory. The loneliness you endured will be replaced with connections that honor and uplift you. The people who doubted you will be forced to watch as God's promises unfold before their eyes. Your pain was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to transform you. And now, chosen one, the transformation is complete. They saw your potential before you did. They recognized your strength long before you knew it existed. And that is why they tried to break you. They could not afford to let you realize who you truly are. Because if you ever did, if you ever saw yourself the way God sees you, nothing and no one could stop you. So they came at you in every way possible. They attacked your confidence, making you second-guess your worth. They planted seeds of doubt in your mind, hoping you would give up before you ever got started. They manipulated your kindness, used you when you were vulnerable, discarded you when you were no longer convenient. They tried to twist your mind, to turn your strengths into weaknesses. When you showed compassion, they called you naive. When you dreamed big, they called you delusional. When you refused to conform, they labeled you difficult. They isolated you, made you feel like no one could truly understand what you were going through. And in those moments of solitude, the enemy whispered lies, telling you that you were alone, forgotten, unworthy of love, undeserving of success. But something inside you refused to surrender. No matter how much they pressed you, no matter how many times they told you no, something in you kept whispering yes. Even when you doubted yourself, even when you wanted to quit, something deep in your soul kept pushing forward. That was God. That was divine strength carrying you through when you thought you had nothing left. Because, chosen one, you were never meant to break. The world threw its worst at you, and yet here you stand, wiser, stronger, unstoppable. They could not break you, because what is inside of you is unbreakable. And now, the very people who tried to destroy you will have to watch as you step into the abundance they never wanted you to have. Because God was always watching. Because God was always with you. Because God has already written your victory. This is it. The moment you have prayed for, the moment you have fought for, the moment you wondered if you would ever see, it has arrived. You have endured the fire. You have carried burdens heavier than most could ever imagine. You have walked through seasons of lack, seasons of heartbreak, seasons where it seemed as though every door was locked, every opportunity stolen, every dream slipping further away. But hear me now, God never forgot you. Every tear you shed in silence, every prayer whispered in the darkness, every sacrifice you made when no one was watching, God saw it all. And He did not just see it, He recorded it. He stored every moment, every ounce of your suffering, knowing that the day would come when He would restore it all. And now, chosen one, that day is here. The losses you endured, God is replacing them with abundance. The betrayals you suffered, God is bringing connections that will honor and uplift you. The seasons of rejection, they are being exchanged for divine acceptance, divine favor, and divine acceleration. This is not just recovery, this is restoration. When God restores, He does not just give back what was lost, He multiplies it. He turns sorrow into joy, lack into overflow, struggle into testimony. He takes what the enemy meant for evil and transforms it into something greater than you ever imagined. Joseph was thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, imprisoned for a crime he did not commit. But when God restored him, He did not just return to the life he once had. He was elevated to a position beyond his wildest dreams. And that is what God is doing for you. What you are stepping into now is bigger than what you prayed for. The blessings coming your way are greater than what you even dared to ask. The favor on your life will be undeniable. And those who once doubted you will have no choice but to acknowledge that God's hand has been on you all along. This is your moment. Your time of struggle is over. Your season of waiting has ended. You have entered the season of divine restoration. It is done. There was a time when you struggled, a time when you had to make impossible choices, a time when you prayed, Lord, how much longer? How much more can I endure? But those days are behind you. Because God is a God of abundance. And when he blesses, he does not bless in halves or fragments. He blesses in overflow. You have sown in tears. Now you will reap in joy. You have given when you had little. Now you will receive much. You have watched others rise while you remained in the shadows. Now the light is shining on you. Luke 6:38 declares, "Give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, shall men give into your bosom." This is not just about money. It is about favor. It is about influence. It is about stepping into the fullness of what God has for you. But make no mistake, wealth is part of it. For too long, you have lived in limitation. You have had to stretch, to scrape, to survive. You have watched opportunities slip away simply because you did not have the resources to seize them. But now, God is removing every barrier that kept you from receiving what was already yours. You will not just have enough, you will have more than enough. Where there was debt, there will be increase. Where there was lack, there will be abundance. Where there was struggle, there will be ease. And this is only the beginning, because when God prospers his chosen ones, it is not just so they can live in comfort, it is so they can be a blessing. You are stepping into a season where you will not only be able to provide for yourself, but you will be able to lift others. You will be the lender, not the borrower, the giver, not the one in need. The same people who overlooked you, who dismissed you, who assumed you would never rise, they will see with their own eyes that the favor of God cannot be stopped. This is your financial breakthrough. This is your moment of wealth and prosperity. The famine is over. The harvest has begun. There was a time when you felt alone, a time when you looked around and realized that the very people who should have supported you, the ones who should have celebrated you, were nowhere to be found. They did not understand you. They could not comprehend the weight of your calling, the depth of your vision, the magnitude of what God was doing in your life. So they doubted you. They ridiculed you. Some even betrayed you. And for a while, it hurt. But what you did not realize then was that their rejection was God's protection. Not everyone is meant to go where you are going. Not everyone can handle the level of favor you are about to walk in. Some people had to leave your life because they would have sabotaged the very blessing you were praying for. And now, chosen one, the tables have turned. The same people who once dismissed you will have no choice but to acknowledge you. The ones who looked down on you will see you rise. The ones who said, "You'll never make it," they will watch as God makes a way where there once was no way. This is the season where you will be surrounded by people who value you, people who see your worth, who pour into you instead of just taking from you. God is sending connections that will honor you, partnerships that will elevate you, friendships that will strengthen you. And as for those who mistreated you, some will try to come back. They will see your breakthrough, your success, your elevation, and they will suddenly remember your name. They will want access to what they once ignored. Be wise, forgive, but do not forget. Bless them, but do not allow them to pull you back into the same cycles God delivered you from. Your relationships are shifting because you are shifting. You are stepping into a higher dimension, and only those who are meant for this next chapter will be allowed to walk with you. The loneliness you once felt, it is being replaced with divine alignment. The betrayal you endured, it is making way for real loyalty. This is not a loss, it is a gain. And when it is all said and done, the ones who once doubted you will have no choice but to say, "Surely the hand of God is on their life." God's timing is always perfect. There were moments when you felt forgotten, moments when you watched others receive their blessings while you were still waiting. You prayed, you worked, you believed, and yet the doors remained closed. It made no sense. You asked yourself, "What am I doing wrong? Why is my breakthrough taking so long?" But hear this truth. God's delays are not his denials. What felt like stagnation was actually preparation. What seemed like rejection was actually redirection. God was not withholding your blessing. He was making sure that when it arrived, you would be ready to receive it. Look at the story of David, anointed as king while still a shepherd boy, yet he did not ascend to the throne immediately. Years passed. He faced betrayal, exile, battle after battle. He could have questioned, "Why did you anoint me if I was only going to suffer?" But every trial, every delay, every painful moment was shaping him into the ruler he was meant to be. And the same is true for you. Had God given you what you asked for when you asked for it, you would not have been able to sustain it. The relationships were not right. The environment was not ready. You were still being refined. The blessing was not denied. It was timed. And now the time has come. What once seemed so far away is now within reach. The doors that remained shut are swinging open. The opportunities that were delayed are rushing toward you. The promises that felt distant are now manifesting before your eyes. But here is the most beautiful part. Because you waited, because you endured, you will not receive just enough. You will receive overflow. This is the moment when you will understand why it had to take time. Why God had to remove certain people. Why He had to teach you patience, resilience, and wisdom before releasing the full blessing into your hands. Because now you will not just walk in your promise, you will thrive in it. Trust His timing. It was perfect all along. For so long, you were overlooked. You were counted out, underestimated, dismissed. People saw you struggling and assumed that was all you would ever be. They saw your hardships and labeled you as less than. They spoke over your life as if they had the final say, as if their words could define your destiny. But God had a different plan. And now the shift has come. You are no longer the outsider, no longer the one fighting to prove yourself. The very people who doubted you, the ones who laughed behind your back, the ones who refused to believe in you, they are about to witness your rise. Because you were never the underdog. The world thought you were. They saw your trials, your setbacks, your moments of waiting, and they assumed you were losing. But what they did not see was that God was preparing you, building you, strengthening you. And now, it is your turn. The tables have turned. The last has become first. The one they thought would never make it is the one they will soon have to respect. You do not need validation from those who once rejected you. You do not need the approval of those who failed to see your worth. The favor of God on your life speaks louder than their opinions ever could. Look at Joseph. He was thrown into a pit, betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, imprisoned for a crime he did not commit. To the world, he was the ultimate underdog. But what did God do? He elevated him to a position of power so great that the very same brothers who betrayed him had to bow before him. That is what is happening in your life. Those who look down on you will soon have to look up to you. Those who once saw you as insignificant will have no choice but to acknowledge that the hand of God has been on you all along. The struggles that once defined you are now the very reason for your elevation. The pain that once held you down is now the fuel that is launching you forward. You are not the underdog. You are the chosen one. And the world is about to see it. This is it. This is the moment where everything changes. The waiting is over. The struggles, the setbacks, the seasons of doubt, they were all leading to this. But now, chosen one, it is up to you. You cannot step into this new season with an old mindset. You cannot carry past fears into a future built on faith. You must walk boldly, with your head held high, knowing that you are no longer waiting for permission to be who God created you to be. It is time to act. No more second-guessing yourself. No more shrinking to make others comfortable. No more playing small to fit into places that were never meant to contain you. You are stepping into a divine season of favor, prosperity, and purpose, but you must embrace it fully. Take the opportunities that come your way. Speak with authority. Move with confidence. Let your actions reflect the truth. You are not who you used to be. You have been refined, transformed, elevated. Now, you must carry yourself accordingly. And do not be afraid of what is ahead. The same God who carried you through the trials will sustain you in the blessings. The same strength that got you through the storms will keep you grounded in success. You have been faithful. You have endured. You have passed the test. Now walk boldly into what has already been prepared for you. The world has been waiting for you to rise. Now is your time. May the heavens open over your life in ways you have never seen before. May every tear you shed in private be answered with joy that overflows. May the same God who sustained you through the storms now elevate you to a place of undeniable favor. I speak abundance over you, abundance in wealth, in health, in opportunities, and in divine connections. May the doors that once refused to open for you now swing wide with ease. May everything that was delayed be released suddenly and without resistance. May your hands be blessed. Everything you touch, may it multiply. Everything you build, may it prosper. Everything you dream, may it manifest. No more struggle, no more scarcity, no more wandering in uncertainty. This is your season of fulfillment. I pray for protection over you, that no weapon formed against you shall prosper, that no voice of negativity shall take root in your mind, that no force, seen or unseen, shall be able to derail what God has already set in motion. May peace fill your heart, peace that silences every doubt, peace that calms every fear, peace that reminds you that God is in control. And above all, may you always remember that you are loved, chosen, and unstoppable. It is done, it is sealed, it is written. Now go forth and walk in your destiny. Amen.